Hey everyone, am I audible? No, I think I can. Hey, first of all, thanks to B-side organizers for having me here. As we can see, today's talk is about Golang malwares, specifically for Mac and Linux platform. We know the telemetry is more into Windows side, but we do have a lot of things to cover on Linux and Mac as well. So this is about this. Uh, this is me, currently working at Palo Alto Networks. Previously I was at CrowdStrike. So my day-to-day job is around malwares and threat research. So if I am not, reversing malware or threat hunting or doing any stuff related to malware, I usually go, treks in Himalayas or like mountains. So this is me. So this is today's agenda. We will look how Golang is used on both the platforms and how a single script can be used, to do maybe, we can say, benign on malicious things, both. And then following that, we'll look how we can reverse engineering and do basic analysis. So we'll not go much, in deeper side because of the time constraint, but we'll see how exactly what are the things we should be focusing on. So this will be my goal to quickly cover everything. And obviously after everything completing everything like analysis and reverse engineering, so our focus is adding detections because that's the end goal. And then obviously hunting in the wild, how we can use basic techniques to get latest samples or similar, focusing on again Mac and Linux. And we'll talk about some basic future developments, what we can expect. Yeah. So we can say, Go language itself is really good. You just write code once and you can, use it everywhere. So it has a lot of capabilities. Just a second. Yeah. So first of all, static linking, cross compilation, like I've mentioned, and it has multi-threading with Go routines. We'll see with some case studies of real malware samples. We can see here we're just using two environment variables like Go OS and Go Architect, Go Arc. We can compile a single code for Linux and Mac both. This is a classic example of how a single script, this is used for a kind of a basic idea about how we can do the persistence on Mac and Linux. So on Mac it's launch agent, and on Linux it is auto start. And we can see it again uses Go OS for getting the OS version. So this is the basic idea of how Go is good for developers, but focusing on as a defender, as a detection engine or reverse engine, we need to understand how we can understand how we can use Go's capability to on our side. How we can improve our detection capabilities. So as a defender, it is quite huge in size because of static linking. We can see some common malware families with sizes. So generally, it's not fixed. Mostly, on ISO or zip files, they are quite huge in sizes. But most of these malware samples are, they are around 1 MB or less than 1 MB. But most of the Golang malwares are huge in sizes, like 4 MB plus. For example, here. Then obviously stripping the binaries, which is common for all the malwares, but again, because we are talking about more into Mac and Linux, so yeah, again, just to hinder the basic analysis. Then detection evasion. So talking about product perspective, so a lot of AV vendors or EDRs nowadays, so they have some limitations with file sizes. For example, X company or X product cannot evaluate file who have Y size, for example 5 MB or 10 MB. So that's how that's how Golang can bypass some basic EDR or AVs. But nowadays products are really good, but these are still used. Um, again, comparing to Windows, we don't talk much about Mac and Linux, uh, these two platforms. So again, this is the classic growth of Mac and Linux, like with Go malwares. So like I've started working, looking into Go malwares since like last 4 or 5 years. So at that time there was not too many Go samples, but still they the threat actors have started using these like this language Golang, and especially in like last 2 years we have seen almost like like 60% increase in the telemetry. This is the like basic chart we can see. So like I've said initially, so Windows is more in day-to-day like telemetry. If you see any open source platform or anywhere, so 80% of the telemetry is around Windows, but like 10 or 15% is around Linux, some Mac, and then least for Android. So but here we can see like some around 20% Mac, 33 or 34% Linux, and like 46 or 47% for both, because again we are talking about like cross compilation. These are some common malware families. If I think you might have heard of some of these families. So they like target specific platforms, and sometimes both. They are like ransomwares, rat, botnets, crypto miners. Again, some like supply chain attacks as well, uh, with some cross-platform capabilities, and some has some partial capabilities, and some like even when we see detection, we'll see how difficult it is, right? To not too difficult, but yeah, it is quite like tricky to play with Go samples, especially on the detection and reversing side. So we'll see. Uh, let's look at some case studies. So first of all, like my focus is not actually analyzing the malware sample, but focusing more on how like a particular malware family or threat actor used Go libraries or Go routines for their own purpose. So yeah, so let's look at this Cthulhu stealer. This focused on macOS. Quite not, I would say, a recent one, but yeah, it's been like almost a year or so. We have seen Cthulhu stealer. Uh, we'll see build ID. We can see size. So keep this build ID. I mean, in your like keep remember this versions. So this we will like talk about more about when we'll discuss about detection part. Again, the size, as we have seen, like high in size. Uh, so let's see what are the capabilities of this Cthulhu stealer. We can see at obviously this is a stealer, so it tries to grab something from the platform. For example, like targeting Chrome, Firefox, and browser related data, and lot more. So it actually reads SQLite via this repo, we can see. And for credential dumping, it uses Apple's OSS script, which is actually Apple script, which actually like gives you a dialog, and it tries to get some user input. It uses exec command via Go, and again keychain dumping, again using exec dump, and again it has some Telegram capabilities. So we'll see like lot of Go samples, they have Telegram capabilities because of easily integration of like a Telegram API. So this is quite, I wouldn't say every sample they have Telegram capabilities, but most of them have, and especially the stealers, not just Go or not just for Mac and Linux, but in general, stealer try to like they tries to do use Telegram for either exfiltration or like for infection or something. But yeah, again it uses like OS user dot current for gathering basic info like username, host name, IP addresses, or OS version, which is actually really useful to like further infect or understand like what's the user and like what is the platform, and based on the data they collect, they actually try to like infect further. uh, Again, it actually then after like collecting data, the stealer try to zip everything together and then connect to C2 for exfiltration purpose. So again it uses standard library from Go. yeah, this is basic obfuscation. Like threat actors, they try to base encode like base 60. They use base 64 encoding uh, just for for mostly for URLs, just to uh, kind of hinder detection or bypass some basic rules, I would say. This is basic script, not actual malicious script or something from malware itself, but just wanted to give a basic idea how this logic can be implemented on Go. But yeah, don't use this for your own purpose. This is just for education purpose. So yeah, you can take a reference. Again, this is again example of Zynoret Linux sample. We can see, like for file system enumeration, it uses file path.fork. File exfiltration, it uses tgbot api.new document, which we have seen, again, this is linked to Telegram. Screenshot capturing using exec command and, systemd persistence. Again, next is Bodenago. It is mostly into, IoT exploitation. Like we can see with just, using Go function, it actually launches 30 plus exploits once at a time. And also it uses net.listen with just basic 2 lines of code to implement, just to create backdoors. Again, this is basic implementation of how this can be implemented, like concurrent exploit execution and simple backdoor listening. Then next is Eviljinx. I think if we have some pen tester or red teamers here, they must be knowing this tool. This is, I think this is available in Kali Linux as well. I'm not sure, I don't use much, but I think it is available commercially as well. So it also uses Go language. These are the advantages for Eviljinx, while using Go. Again, memory safety, it actually prevent crashes during high volume phishing campaigns. Again, cross-platform, as we see, as we have seen, same code base, which actually runs on Linux, Windows, or Mac. Kind of a diverse implementation with just a basic code. And then again, tgbot api.new message, like we have discussed, using Telegram API for Telegram integration. And also, sometimes they don't just use for either exfiltration or, initiation. They can use for, real-time notification. They are using Telegram bot API. So again, this is basic example, how Telegram bot initialization is implemented, and then sending captured sessions to Telegram, real-time proxy hunting with Go's HTTP server. Basic example how this can be implemented in Go. So these were the some case studies of how Go is used by threat actors to create malwares. Again, this was not much of actually analyzing the sample, but I think you guys can have a basic idea of how Go is used, or their libraries or Go routines are used. We'll see more into reversing analysis. So this is theory part. So first of all, when you have given a basic malware sample or any sample, whether it's just malware sample, benign or suspicious, you do some basic I would say static analysis, or more into theory, how what this binary is, how getting a basic idea about binary. So you just don't try to copy it in your VM and then just execute it. So getting basic idea using static analysis or some theory, I would say, is a good first approach. So identify Go binaries, finding Go PCL and tab, Go runtime.main, these symbols or sections is really good. And we can use some some tools like GoRism or Go Resolver. So if you don't have IDA Pro, or if you don't use IDA nowadays, IDA is quite good with Golang, but back days, I think almost a year or 2 years back, we don't have too many scripts or open source tools to actually help you with the analysis. They will resolve a lot of things, but the actual implementation or actual logic should be implemented by the researcher itself. So Then again, analyzing Go routines, decoding strings, so and tracing external calls we'll discuss more in detection or reversing part. Let's move more, to practical approach. So you can use multiple tools like I said, like IDA or O tools or other CLI tools just to get the segments. We can see Go PSL in tab and Go build info. Now we have, we are pretty much confident that we are dealing with the Go binaries. Again, strings, we know like strings are, this is like very basic tool which we use, every time, for irrespective of the platform or malware or like binaries, we always use this. So we can see some basic info using strings like Go build info, and this is Go version which we have seen in the case studies. So this is actually useful in kind of a hunting or you can say detection part. Again, some Go routines like runtime main, runtime adjust frame. Yeah, so this is string. This was kind of a static part. Let's focus on again, this is a static part, but let's focus on how actually you will when you open it in any debugger or any tool, how you will start the what should be your approach. So we can just but just by checking the main functions, I think you can just understand what this sample is trying to do. For example, in this is grabber. So these two screenshots are from different sample, but again we have a good idea, what this sample is, what they will do. But this is not always the case. You won't find these main functions. So once you open it in any like tool like IDA or Gidra or anywhere, you just there will be 100 of functions, but start looking into main functions, just search and try to start from there. So this should be the only approach I would say. I mean, you can do static analysis more and more, but it will just waste your time. So again, let's discuss this case. So as we can see, this only has main.main functions, not much functions other than main and main. So what we'll do in this situation, so we will trace back external calls via cross reference. So I know I mean, this is kind of a suspicious binary, or I would say I won't say malware, but kind of a suspicious binary. So I went to strings, looked into exec command, because I know this is a Go sample from static analysis, like we have discussed. From exec command, I've tried to trace back from there, and then reached out to actual malicious code, which actually tries to stop some specific services on Linux. We can see some sunshine lib kill Linux function name. This name is quite obvious, but just wanted to give a basic idea of how we can trace back from external calls via cross reference, and we can actually reach to the actual malicious code within the sample. Again, debugging is almost similar to other malware samples, but focus on main.main function. Start from there. Even if you use some debugger, for example, if in Windows, I don't want to talk much on Windows, but just wanted to give you a basic idea. If you want to do debugging on Windows, then I personally use x64 dbg IDA. I think if I'm naming it correctly. So this plugin actually copies comments and function names to your debugger, and then you can simply start the debugging if you don't use IDA. So this is a basic idea. Just go into main.main and start debugging from there. Don't look into other functions, otherwise you will get confused because of the large binary size, and 100 of functions will be there. So it will be little difficult to actually start from the main functions or the first thing, I mean, which we actually look into other samples. For example, if it is written in C# or C++, we actually just execute the debug, and it will take us to the initial point, starting point. But in case of Golang, try to focus on main.main functions. These are some cheat sheet which we can use for reverse engineering. You can take look at these tools. Some tools are specifically for Mac, Linux, or some are for both, so we can check. Let's talk about detection techniques for like I said, for static detection, basic binary analysis, try to get Go build ID, Go versions which we have seen through strings, or like there are like some other tools which can get you Go version, which is actually really useful. Try to get some strings. Then like we have seen like sections and segment analysis. Try to get some IOCs, hardcode IOCs, for example, like hash, imp hash or similar. But in case of Golang, imp hash is not that much useful. If I know like some of you folks might be using imp hash for other samples, but imp hash is not that useful in case of Golang, again because of static linking. And so this is a basic kind of like rule, Yara rule, which I have written. Anyone can use this for kind of like for any purpose, like writing detection or hunting. Let's focus on like some macOS specific detection techniques. For example, code signing violation. We know like most of the macOS binaries are signed. So if they are not if they are unsigned or ad hoc signed, this is the obvious step, like obvious thing that this particular binary is actually suspicious. We'll not be saying like this must be a malware, or this particular binary. If the particular binary is unsigned, then this is actually malicious. There might be some cases that sometimes certificate may get expired, but unsigned binaries obvious, like especially in case of macOS. This is, and then again SIP monitoring, system integrity protection, like kind of a log monitoring for SIP violations. We need to check gatekeeper and notarization anomalies. We can see like how effective the detections are, and how like difficult to write it. So this is a basic idea of how this can be implemented. Talking on Linux, system call monitoring, cron job, elf binary analysis. On system call monitoring, we can use like strace, ptrace, and the best is eBPF. If you use this is really good to get just monitor specific things related to Go. For example, specific functions like epoll wait or clone functions, because these are quite heavily used in Go. So we can kind of use eBPF or strace or ptrace for getting those things. Again, implementation for logic implementation. Then again, talking about like advanced detection techniques is Go runtime detection, supply chain monitoring. We'll see in the next slide. I want to like quickly go through some of the last slides. Basic implementation again. I think you can take a look at this cheat sheet for detection. What techniques we can use for a specific platform and for both. Again, and yeah. So let's discuss quickly about the hunting. Like how we can hunt. We can use multiple platforms, but I have given like basic idea of how we can do it in IDA Pro. Virus Total. I know VT is available. Like even if you are not paid, if it is not enterprise, then it's still you can do basic searches. So you can use these queries. Like the type is elf, size is high. As we know, Golang binaries are high in sizes. Content main.main, and then positive how many detections we want. So just like grab actual Go malwares in VT, but we can use this logic everywhere. Again, same for macOS. And this is like how we can search Go modules in public repos, especially for supply chain attacks. Like like for we can search in GitHub, GitLab, anywhere, any open source platform. Cheat sheet for hunting. How we can like what indicators we need to look on, and then what are the detection method for these things. Future developments. As we know, like everyone is crazy about AI. So again, like not just about Go, but in general, like AI nowadays, you can even create malwares using some LLM models, but don't try. But I'm just like giving you a basic idea. LLMs are capable to create basic malwares and malicious script. And then eBPF enhanced capability, observability. Like deploying eBPF just to like get your low-level system calls or basic info. Supply chain verification, like we have discussed. I know there are like lot of things to discuss here, but this is just a basic idea. And platform threat intel sharing. For example, like if you are writing detection for one platform, then as we know, Golang is like it has cross-platform capability. So like maybe we write a detection for one platform, then just by tuning the rule, we can use it for other platform as well. So yeah, this is it. Thank you. I know this is quite fast one, but because of the time constraint, I try to cover as many basic things as possible. So yeah, maybe next time, like with some workshop focusing more on how we can actually reverse engineer samples. But you can refer some of my blogs I've written for CrowdStrike and Palo Alto, where I've talked more, like about Go samples itself. So, and reach out to me if you have any doubts. So thank you. Thanks a lot.